Good evening. I'm so happy to be here and so love seeing all your faces. Oh, it's so beautiful. We were just talking about to think the whole world, there's some of us that seem to gel, have like-minded thoughts, or we're kind of awakening in a similar ways. So we touch each other and can help each other. It's just wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Glenda Carlin Busick, B-U-S-I-C-K. That was my married name for over 35 years, but my husband passed and I kind of go with my maiden name, Carlin. But on Facebook, it's Glenda Carlin, C-A-R-L-I-N Busick. So you can private message me there if you want, anytime. And then we can share emails if you're not on my email list. Oh, because I send out an email generally 1 to 2 days before my Tuesday evening meeting. That way, those that want to study it can do so. Like I heard from Joan immediately almost. When I started resuming my meeting, I wrote an email out first saying, I'm just going to give you the topic and not include, my notes. Joan texted me or something that no. She liked reading this beforehand, contemplating it, and see, that's wonderful. That's just where it's at, to actually contemplate something, reflect on it, and then listen, and it just all deepens. It just all somebody called me one time. I hit the ground running when I found Dzogchen. And that's, that means, this is clicking. This is touching your hearts and minds. So anyway, I'm now including my talk in my email. Now we want to invite in Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, enlightened beings, ascended masters, be here. You're always here, always, always, always. Matter of fact, all those enlightened beings, I just was reminded about this. They're not just one or two of them. There's millions of them. And it's that panoramic view where there's no center in this view, but there's picture a front and a back. There's an up and a down. There's a sideways. And then picture there's like a compass. There's northeast, northwest. They're surrounding you, all of us. They're surrounding everyone wanting to help. So we invite them in. I be guided what to say or do, and to ask them to help you all gain insights, whatever's needed for your highest good. Thank you for Jesus and A Course in Miracles. Wow. And Buddha and Dzogchen is a tradition within Buddhism. But both of them, for me, interrelate in that Jesus teaches you are this high teaching. You are spirit, you are God, you're a child of God, and ultimately he says you recognize yourself by your name, which is God, because there's only God. There's only God. And Buddha says you're Buddha. They don't believe in a higher power. They believe in an inner power, but it's the same thing. It's just that spirit's been veiled. Christ nature, Buddha nature, God nature, been veiled by thoughts, feelings, sensations, etc. And you're unveiling that by practicing the Course, Dzogchen, meditating, chanting, practicing mindfulness, etc. Now, this is a wonderful path, but the path of awakening, is what Course in Miracles and Dzogchen teaches. And Dzogchen teaches that you're soaring while climbing. Now, what that means is you're this Buddha nature now, but you haven't remembered it. So you're climbing, you're remembering, you're studying, reflecting, investigating, experiencing these moments of awakening, lightness, the light, L-I-G-H-T, the light, the great ray, etc. And those moments build on themselves for this awakening. And it does. It builds on itself. Now, my topic tonight is Don't let your minds be sucked out of you by your six senses. Don't lose your mind every time you smell, see, or touch something. At every moment, we are creating our future. This moment, every moment, we're creating our future. Because how I think now, what I've heard this many times, I believe it. Whatever you're thinking now and kind of contemplating and reflecting on and trying to learn and be, that's what you're achieving. It's only going to get deeper. For those that don't study and reflect on these holy truths, their life just stays whatever they're thinking, because it's cause and effect, also called cause and truth and consequence, cause and consequence. We reap what we sow. So it's just powerful, powerful, powerful to study the Course and then study Dzogchen. But anyway, how I came up with this topic was last week after the meeting, I stopped the recording and we chat, and Barbie asked something about, I can't quite remember, but something about how, what gazing means, Gazing. And see, I try to stay a little bit awake about, because I never know how Holy Spirit's going to present these teachings. But gazing, I was talking about sky gazing, and she wanted to know what that meant. And here comes Danelle and Leon. So we'll wait just a second. Let's see if they're getting in okay. There's Danelle. Hi, Danelle. Leon's connecting. There's Leon. Welcome, welcome. So Barbie last week asked about gazing, and I realized that should be part of my topic. And gazing is something I've learned to do as a result of meditation. And in preparing for this talk, I have there's 7 pages from those notes I wrote, but then I checked for the word distracted in the Course. You can search for a word in the Course. But one of them, it was about meditation. I want to read this. It's lesson 153. Because also part of this talk is about called distraction. How we let our 6 senses distract us and we lose our mind. So how, coming back to have awareness or mindfulness, oh no, I went down the rabbit hole and went off in my hearing down with a sound and let the egoic mind start talking about like if it's a bird, what was what's the name of the bird, the species, if it's male or female, where are they, how they're flying or sitting or standing. There's a whole litany. What happens, this is going down the hole, losing our mind, is I've gone off track and put glued thoughts together to make, it's called discursive thinking. It's really egoic thinking. It's thinking about an object, the bird. Now, there's times when we're driving a car or whatever we're doing. You need to be aware of distance and analyze things. But I'm talking about here practicing of these truths and being mindful and alert of these senses of a sound, etc. But it's called distraction. When we go off with that hearing and we're lost. But here's from lesson 153. Jesus says, but as we practice mindfulness, last week in that email contained 16 different things you can do to mingle your awareness and mindfulness with your daily life, 16 things. But as you become more mindful of what am I thinking and doing while I'm doing it, then what happens, you have less distractions. And here's Jesus's quote. And as distraction ceases to arise to turn us from our purpose, see, our purpose is to awaken, we will find that half an hour is too short to spend with God. Now he's talking about meditation. Because as you get less and less distracted, then this is just a normal thing that happens. You end up wanting to meditate more on the cushion and off the cushion. Meditating off the cushion means when I'm standing, sitting, like now sitting. This is Glenda sitting, animated by the God light, sitting in this chair. I'm aware Glenda's sitting in this chair, but I'm not Glenda. Jesus says in the Course, you're not a body. You are free. You're still as God created you. Your spirit, your light, right? So I've learned to talk to myself in third person, say my name. And then once in a while, this is in this week's email, I'll stop and say, who's doing what? Here comes Angela. Angela, there you go, Angela. Who's doing what here? Just mute yourself, Angela, please. And see, that's a question. And just stop. And who's doing this? Is egoic Glenda doing this? Or am I coming from spirit, from holy thoughts? Am I thinking kind, loving thoughts, or am I down, analyzing, breaking something apart, taking something apart to see its defects, its mistakes, see my brother's mistakes or whatever. So, but anyway, so that was Barbie brought up about gazing. Then this whole thing's going to talk about not letting the six senses distract you, but I want to talk about sky gazing and meditation here in just a bit. But what I want is this all kind of came together in that I'm reading generally every day, off and on, I'll be reading some holy truths and books or whatever, or listen to YouTube videos or such, or meditating. And I found it's on page 5. I got to find it. Page 5. Here, this came from Lama Surya Das. It's in the email. And what I'm talking about is having moment-to-moment conscious awareness of what we're doing. Each of us are doing, what I'm doing. But here's this quote. It's from Awakening the Buddha Within. It's on page 270. In 1984, at the conclusion of one of my first 3-year retreats, see, these people do 3-year retreats. They're in a monastic setting, meaning there's no sex, they're not out going to the grocery stores. I mean, they're in a monastery, and they put them in, they have these little boxes, wooden boxes, and these participants are sitting in that box meditating for maybe 10, 12 hours a day. I mean, they're on it. They are on it. But also, it's a rough deal. Other places he's talked about how difficult it is to sit in a wood box and meditate. But anyway, this was his first 3-year retreat. He did 2 of them. Our group, after this first one, our group had a joyous feast and celebration. Then our teacher took us down the road to visit the old man of the monastery, and Lama Gendun Rinpoche, a lovely elderly retreat master who had spent most of his life meditating alone in the wilderness in Tibet. For 3.5 years, our group of 22 had spent most of the time meditating indoors. We had not been further than the courtyard of our cloistered monastery. Suddenly, the monastery doors were open. As we walked down the road, everything seemed so bright, vivid, and colorful. In some ways, it was like coming out of a sensory deprivation tank. We went into Gendum Rinpoche's cell-like room and sat down in front of him, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And the man reminded us that our 3-year experience had purified us. We were like new slates on which anything could be drawn or written. Here's the quote. "Watch yourselves," he said. "Don't let your minds be sucked out of you by your senses. Don't lose your mind every time you smell, see, or touch something. Maintain present awareness, rest centered in essential natural mind." That's Christ mind, Buddha mind, God mind, "and appreciate everything equally." That's equanimity. We're all brothers with one Father. Then here's the last paragraph. As we practice this first effort, he was talking about 4 different efforts on how to maintain awareness. I think it helps if we can imagine ourselves as children. That's how I want you all to imagine yourselves as children, and me, scrubbed clean, open to new experiences, new actions, and new karma. At every moment, we are creating our future. What will it be? Can we make the effort to avoid the destructive, the harmful, the self-indulgent, and the foolish? Can we see through and avoid the sights, sounds, smells, sensory experiences, and thoughts that might pull us in a direction of creating new negative karma? And then a while ago, while I was sitting contemplating this, asking Holy Spirit to help me, it came to me. I was thinking about, as I was reading the Course these years, especially since 2014, it never really came to me what it is I was judging, other than, judging somebody's or not Christ. But that's a big deal. I'm talking about the general judgments all day long, the things that go on all day long. I didn't realize what I was allowing to suck me into this egoic mind, and it's the 6 senses. This can greatly help you if you're aware, if you stop and you become aware. First, what am I seeing? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I smelling? What am I tasting? But thinking is a 6th sense. Thinking takes you down the hole. See, when I thought about these sense gates, Jesus talks about their senses. But in Dzogchen, they talk about them as gates. And gates, they're hingeless, meaning they swinging. So think about like this is an opening. The ears, they're openings. Eyes are openings, nose opening, mouth opening. Now, granted, the mind doesn't look open, but it's just pure. It's really clear light with just thoughts laying on it. But anyway, let's see, touch doesn't really have an opening, but in general, these things have openings. And as I hear something, if I go off in dualism, analyzing and taking apart that sound, I have closed the opening. It's shut down, and I've lost my mind into ego, and I'm thinking thoughts with ego. So in Alice in Wonderland, it's called going down the rabbit hole. So just even Google rabbit hole, because what happens these are rabbit holes. We go down with thinking, thoughts, feelings, and etc., and we get lost in them. So we're wanting to cultivate awakened awareness. And that's what this sky gazing is talking about, and that's what that holy man was warning these 22 people that were fresh off of a 3-year meditate retreat, that I'm going to read it again. Don't let your minds be sucked out of you by your senses. Don't lose your mind every time you smell, see, or touch something. Maintain present awareness. Rest centered. Rest. We're gonna learn to lean back and rest in this clear light that's here within our mind and just flowing back and forth through us. But we're faking it while we make it because it spirits this clear light. But I looked in, before I forget, I looked in the course where Jesus talks about senses. And here's some quotes about where Jesus talks about them. The body cannot know. And while you limit your awareness to its tiny senses, T-I-N, here's some like T-I-N-Y, senses, S-E-N-S-E-S. That's what that holy Buddhist guy was telling those. This is what Jesus is telling us. While you limit your awareness to these tiny senses, you will not see the grandeur that surrounds you, which is this clear light of spirit that's here now. Let's see if Missy is connecting to audio. Just have her check her. If it doesn't connect, you might have to come back in and try again. Now let's see. Here's another one. You have chosen to be in a state of opposition in which opposites are possible. As a result, there are choices you must make. Now, why that one was important, we've chosen to be in this world of opposites, good, bad, happy, sad, ugly, pretty, war, peace. So as a result, choices must be made. So with mindfulness and alertness, awareness, awakened awareness, you're going to catch when you're thinking these thoughts. And you make a choice. I choose to not think that way. I'm not going down that rabbit hole of analyzing and tearing apart that bird. As I walk in nature, I'm just going to let that sound just go through my hearing gate. I'm going to let all the sights go through my eyes, through my sight gates. I'm going to let the smells go through my smell gate. And what you'll find will happen, I wrote it in the email, this is what's happening to me. When I let go and let be and let these things come and go, let go means let come and go and just be, because they'll naturally self-liberate, self-arise and self-liberate if I don't. Missy, you may want to go out because you're not coming in. Try again. Is we choose again to not to let it go, let that sound go, let that bird in flight go, and then shows up maybe the sound of an airplane. When I'm walking by this lake here, there's a sound of an airplane, there's a sound of a train, there's dogs in the neighborhood. So what's happening when this is where you're going with all this, we end up having an awakened mind, an opened heart. And as you let go these thoughts that are, instead of going down this rabbit hole of analyzing and judging, naming and labeling these sensations, you become free of them, free. Then you're thinking of things as spirit, as God, and you're faking it while you make it and thinking, Jesus says, look beyond the form to the spirit that's there. That's this clear light. So you're just looking past the form. There's the clear light of spirit. I believe it. They're God. I love you, God. These practices that we do is changing your unconscious mind, and it builds on itself to where you more and more believe this. Then you want to meditate more, and you're just in this peace, more peaceful circumstances, more and more. But what happens then, you embody Christ, Buddha, God virtues, your mind, your eyes, all your hands, everything is emitting the virtuous characteristics of Christ, Buddha, God. But yet you're enjoying, like when I walk by the lake, I'm enjoying, you're integrating the physical world with the holy heaven, nirvana world. They get integrated here on earth. It's the Garden of Eden, heaven. They're integrated. You don't die to go to heaven. It happens. It happens as you awaken. It's now. So what happens is then what came to me, it's like I'm experiencing a symphony, an orchestra. And I pictured, like we're not the conductor. Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, God is the conductor, bringing what shows up in our face. But it's sort of like the maestro in front of an orchestra. He kind of points these levers, and then there's a sound. There's a sound there, then there's a sound, he points, then the violins come in, then the flutes come in, and then the basses come in, then the drums. But we're not the conductor, but that's what's happening. You will awaken to this is an orchestra, a symphony of the six senses in their most brilliant capacity. You're letting things come and go and just be, and it's bliss and happiness and peace. Now, granted, things happen. Like today, I was moving my Buddha statue. The floor wasn't level, and I didn't hold on to the Buddha statue hard enough, good enough, and it fell. And it's a laughing Buddha. And one of his little hands broke off. I got a concrete, went and got some concrete adhesive, put his little hand back on. Stuff happens. It's just the way life is. Cars break down, they wear out. The form, we get older, things happen, but it's not what shows up in front of our face or what karma shows up in front of our face. It's what we do with it. Now, granted, as you practice these things of meditation, chanting, letting these holy, holy words vibrate from the inside. Remember, it came to me, I've been talking about, I hadn't thought about what the heck was happening when I was meditating with this Dzogchen group daily out of LA, and we do these chants, these holy chants that have seed syllables, meaning A-H, Om, O-M, and Hung, H-U-N-G. These syllables, is a seed syllable from the beginningless beginning. I don't know if it's when the Son of God breathed the breath of light and went into these images and blew them up with light and breath. I don't know, but A-H is a holy seed syllable, and it vibrates inside. And that's when it came to me in the Garden of Eden. And our forms were created for the Son of God to play with things. He kind of got, in my opinion, he got bored with the clear light. There was only clear light. I mean, and I would sit with that sometimes. What the heck? What if there was just clear light here? How do you feel about that, folks? Because we're used to seeing all these images, colors, sounds, right? Well, that's the Garden of Eden. We made this stuff. We're like hand puppets. The breath, the light of God animates our form, animates us. We're like a balloon, a puppet, animated, floating with a cord of light. The cord of great ray, cord of light is how the light gets fed into this body is like a balloon, like a shell. But when it's awakened, that cord of light gets unblocked, because we've unblocking our thoughts. We're unblocking all these judgments, names, and labeling. We're unblocking that cord of light, and the light can come in once in a while. We're unblocking our chakras, because our body's in the mind, and the mind becomes illumined. This body becomes illumined. And in the physical plane, there's these light chakras, but they're all clogged up. And sometimes when they're clogged up, they can affect our physical health. That's why there's acupuncture, etc. I won't get into all that. But the point is, thoughts, naming, labeling, judging of these sensations have blocked these circular light movements, energy, and there's meridians, light meridians that come down the great ray. We are lightnings. Jesus says you're a child of light. That's in chapter 13, VIA, child of light. You know not that the light is in you. See, you're unveiling this light. But what happens in this form, all these senses, they've been clogged up. They've all been clogged up. Those are getting unclogged. So then the gates open and the sounds freely go back and forth. The sight, you develop Christ vision, Buddha vision. But I didn't know how the heck this comes about. How you awaken is because you come aware of when you're judging each of these six senses. So just write them down, and during the day, stop and think about, like when you're fixing dinner, are you aware that you're God moving your hand to stir your pot or whatever? Or I'm tasting this, I'm letting this taste is pure taste. Is pure taste. I'm gonna let this taste go. Or a better example is when you're walking to let the bird sound go, that all the sounds go, because we tend to choose what we want to eat, which we label good or bad, right? So that's you kind of have to overlook that thought. But anyway, are you mindful of what you're doing? And then in your house, you'll hear the air conditioner come on. Maybe the TV's on and you might hear a thought. Do you let that thought go instead of stopping to the ego mind will automatically judge whatever that was? If you're aware of it, you become aware of the thoughts because they start to slow down. Before it's like it's just chatter, 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 chatter. There's no gap between thoughts. But as you practice the course and meditate, you get a gap between the thoughts. Then you become aware, oh, what was that thought I had? Whoa, whose thought? And I'll ask people, if you have Jesus says in the course, is your feelings. Our feelings tell you which choice we've made, because Jesus says here, you got two choices. You got choices to make. As a result, there are choices you must make because we've got opposites. So what was I just thinking? And I choose again to think a holy thought or to let that thing be. Let it be, let it come and go. This is freedom. What I'm talking about here is you're becoming free. You're no longer enslaved by these six senses, which are egoic and egoic mind. Well, mind's one of the sense, but you're enslaved by these senses. You hear something, I want it. I taste something, I want it or I don't want it. I see it, I want it or I don't want it. Now you can make choices, but you're becoming aware of your big attachments and aversions. You can still choose, but you're aware how many labeling, naming, and judging thoughts you're gluing together to make discursive thinking, and you let them go. You just let them go. That's what's good about a journal. You write in a journal about these repeat images that come to mind when you're meditating, or when you're or certain things are showed to you. If certain actors or politicians or whatever, certain things show up and you feel agitated, that's something to write in the journal and sit with it with Holy Spirit and look at your feelings and what was I thinking? And then that's when you start to see these thoughts, because thoughts typically come first, thoughts of labeling something good or bad. We label it and good or whatever, name it, or in other words, judge it. We don't want to admit that we're judging, but it's not us doing this. This is the ego doing this. We've just agreed with it. Don't take it personal. It's happening with everybody. But for you all to be here, you're waking up from the dream, the illusion, the hallucination, or you wouldn't be listening to somebody like me like this and practicing the course. So just kind of picture an orchestra, a symphony. And in this symphony, there's sights, sounds, tastes, smells, thoughts. It's just all one big, beautiful symphony. Everything's for our highest good. It may not look like it. That's when we lean back, ask Holy Spirit, guide me what to do or say. Because like when I dropped my Buddha, why I dropped him, had an unstable stand he was on, and I'd been meaning to get him a stand. So I stopped on my way I was doing some errands. I stopped and bought the Buddha a stand, a nice little firm stand for him to sit on. Now, see, there was how I didn't beat myself up. Immediately, I recognized, now I know what ego would have done with that in the past. Just let that be, you know, just it could have been worse. I could have broke his head off. Could have hit my foot, I mean, really, all this stuff can be worse. So it's just part of our outlook, our intention and attention, how we look at things. Now, let me see about these senses. I want to read more what Jesus said about senses. This one is a quote that says, "The ear translates, it does not hear. The eye reproduces, it does not see. They answer the decisions of the mind." See, that's what I was talking about. The mind thinks first what decision we've made that we're going to follow. Jesus is saying that. I didn't notice that before. They answer, so these senses answer the decisions of the mind, reproducing its desires. Now, in Dzogchen, desire is reproducing its desires. So a desire is what we desire, and that causes attachment or aversion. Then I'm going to go back because quote, "The eye reproduces, does not see. They answer the decisions of the mind, reproducing its desires. These testimonials, which the senses, SENSCS, bring, have but one purpose: to justify attack and thus keep unforgiveness unrecognized for what it is." There's that word senses. There it is. Which the senses bring, have but one purpose. So, wow, this is like huge. This could save you a lot of time to be aware what you're seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, touching, thinking. What the heck am I thinking? Because I've been enslaved. I've agreed with this egoic senses and thinking, versus the Garden of Eden. Everything was just perfect. We're spirit. We knew we were spirit. We knew we were God. We were animating these forms, and we were just experiencing being in a form. What it was like to taste, to hear, to smell, to do all this stuff. It was just an experience. But in my opinion, I've since come to me that we named something bad. Before, everything was just not even, we hadn't even labeled it good. It was just it was just beauty, God. But then when we named something bad, whoa, that made opposites, made us two-ness. And here we go. Now, let's see. I want to, so get back to this gazing. So panoramic awakened awareness. So in this sky gazing meditation, what we do is, and what I learned to do, nobody ever said this, but this is what I learned to do. Although they say put some space between yourself and the thoughts, or thoughts, I guess it'd be. But what I do in my mind, I kind of even take my body and I kind of lean back. I just lean back in my mind and I get some space. And with that space, I start here in this vertical, although ultimately, bear in mind, panoramic means everywhere is God clear light. But we're going to, once in a while you swoop and you feel that, but we're climbing and going to get there. There's this vertical great ray light is between your eyes. So this third eye is the wisdom eye, and it's a chakra between these eyes that opens. And you have to visualize this. You fake it while you make it. In between your eyes, there's clear space, and it's also luminous. If you press on your eyelids when you're meditating stuff, You'll see some light. There'll be some light. But as we meditate, so gazing means I've leaned back and I'm just kind of gazing in space. Because in the mind, there's space, but in that gap between these thoughts, but you can just think about it as space, clear light, whatever. But anyway, you're faking it while you make it. So you lean back, you're gazing at space. Now, the main thing we do, we open our eyes. Oh, wait. So then before you know it, in a split second, your attention, the mind, has gone off with a memory. Like what you're cooking for dinner, you're going to go, what you're doing this coming weekend. Oh, maybe we ought to buy a new car. I don't know. Whatever you've been talking about in a heartbeat, off goes your awareness. That's called ordinary awareness. It's gone off. And the wonderful thing is, don't beat yourself up. When you recognize, oh, my mind is gone, you just bring your attention back to this vertical center. And I'm not kidding you, in a split second, the mind will be gone again. Just the way this egoic mind is, because it's untrained. I looked up the word distraction, and here's what Jesus said about untrained. I want to find that. Where's the untrained? That was so good. There it is. It will become much easier as your mind becomes more disciplined and less distractible. Now, that's what we're learning to do, is more your mind training. Course in Miracles says we're in this course in mind training. You're taking charge of your mind. So that's what's so marvelous about meditation. And remember, didn't know Jesus called meditation in the course. I thought only two places does he say meditation. He calls it extended period. Apply the idea on a sustained basis, quiet time, abide with him, periods of rest and respite, this exercise, a form of practice. And then he says, take it a minute, 2 minutes. I'm not kidding you. I looked all this up. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, get you to 10, get you to 15, get you to 30. And then remember, I just read you one that says, then you will find that half an hour is too short to spend with God. You'll be doing an hour. Now, that's what's good about this hourly Dzogchen deal. You're training this body to sit on a chair, although you can move and take a drink of water. That's called non-meditation, because when you're off the cushion, we want to be awake and aware. We're meditating even off the cushion, which means we're just aware of our thoughts. We're awake and aware, our sensations, etc. But you start on the meditation cushion, so the mind wanders. It's called wandering. And in the course, Jesus said, you're much too tolerant of mind wandering. That's why we practice meditation. You bring the mind back to center, goes away, bring your mind back to center. You may even fall asleep. And that's okay. Don't be embarrassed if your head nods or goes back. It's just part of the deal. I fell asleep too in the beginning. You just come back to awareness. You're building a spiritual muscle of this. And it's called resting. I never knew what the hell resting was. You're resting in this spacious, clear light that right now just kind of in the mind, but it then extends out the light extends out all your pores, all the chakras, all the great rays shining, shining, shining. So you're resting in this clear light all the time. As you walk around, pick up that plate, pick up this piece of paper. You're awake and aware. You're picking up this piece of paper. You're a God picking up this piece of paper. It's so cool. But anyway, it's a process, and I'm hoping to save you years of work. And then let's see where he says, oh gosh, here's this one. There's a resting place so still, no sound except a hymn to heaven rises up to gladden God, the Father, and the Son. That's where you're headed. That's where we're going. This rest, this beingness. And the last one here was, child of light, you know not that the light is in you. Now, but there were some other quotes here, because he talks, Oh, is, here's some, okay. From the world of bodies made by insanity, insane messages seem to be returned to the mind that made it. These messages bear witness to this world, pronouncing it as true. That's what these senses are doing. Pronounces, ego's going out there and finding things and proving to you, oh yeah, that's right. Well, we don't put the body in harm's way. I don't go punch myself with a knife. No way, Jose. This stuff's going to bleed. This stuff's going to, we're trying to stay alive long enough to wake the heck up. But anyway, these senses are going out there pronouncing this world's true. For you sent forth these messages to bring this back to you. Everything these messages relay to you is quite external. There are no messages that speak of what lies underneath. Now, what I'm talking about here, underneath, is in the inner mind, the God mind, the inner light, although that light's everywhere. Your inner light's blocked, veiled, clogged up, and you're letting it all go. You're learning to let judgments, and it's been clogged by judgments. That's the darkness. Labeling things, naming things, or judging things. That's the darkness that clogs up everything. So that's why you don't beat yourself up. You just come back off of these and think again and choose to think of your brother as Christ, Buddha, or God. I love you. I love you. You're God. And think holy thoughts about him. I'm not kidding. It's loving kindness, empathy, because they don't realize that this is a hallucination. You're waking up from an hallucination. They're ignorant, just as I've been ignorant, still ignorant sometimes of what the heck, falling back into this default labeling, naming, judging, these senses, losing my mind, my God-given mind, into these senses. Anyway, for what's underneath is this light and love that you are. For it is not the body that could speak of this. Its eyes perceive it not. Its senses remain quite unaware of it. Its tongue cannot relay its messages. Yet God can bring you there if you are willing to follow the Holy Spirit through seeming terror, trusting him not to abandon you and leave you there. He will not leave you there. That's why you got my phone number, support or support group. We'll help each other. We speak words of wisdom while we go to the doctor or do whatever we need to do. Call 911 if you need to call 911. We're not here denying what seems to be going on in this physical realm. We're learning to integrate all of this with our holy minds and seeing the spirit of this light that's flowing through everything, animating everything. And here's the next reason would tell you that the world you see through eyes that are not yours must make no sense to you. That's in chapter 22, section I, section 2. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to reason with you here. That's what Jesus is doing in the whole course. He's trying to reason with you. Now, if this is true, if you're spirit, if there's only spirit, there's only love, then what about this? He's reasoning with you, and he's teaching you to reason with yourself, self-talk, and for you to choose the there's rules for decision where you choose it. Like you said, you got two choices: egoic mind or Holy Spirit or the holiness. The introduction of reason, this is Jesus talking, into the ego's thought system is the beginning of its undoing. For reason and the ego are contradictory, nor is it possible for them to coexist in your awareness. So when you're aware, oh man, I'm labeling, you come back off that, you can't coexist. Ego and holy can't coexist. You've made a choice. You've turned to truth. I cleave to God and truth. For reason's goal is to make plain and therefore obvious. You can see reason. This is not a play on words, for here is the beginning of a vision that has meaning. Vision is sense, S-E-N-S-E, quite literally. The sense meaning you regained your sanity. You've got true sense of mind. I'm Christ, I'm Buddha, I'm God. The true sense, the true vision is this clear light. It is not the body sight. It must be understood. See, your understanding, understanding and wisdom is what's opening up with you as well. It's called, there's two wings to this bird, compassion and wisdom. Compassion means you're developing loving kindness, virtuous behavior, speech, thoughts. And here do reason and the ego separate to go their separate ways. Okay, now distraction. Okay, now, so this gazing, so the gazing, there can be an internal gazing, this gazing, and then when you open your eyes, or you sit on your balcony or your patio or wherever, and you gaze at the sky. It's called sky gazing. Picture in your mind again, you lean back off of it, off. Oh, I forgot the two words, focusing and concentrating. That's what's happened about these six senses. We focus, oh, I heard that sound. Then I go focus on it and concentrate on it. Then I'm distracted. Okay, that's how it works. You focus on it, then concentrate on it, and then you're gone. You're lost. But what there's a quote from, I've got so many pieces of paper here. I want to quote from this holy person that he had some disciples. He was out meditating in front of a cave, his cave. And his disciples came up and asked him what the heck he was doing. Maybe I can find it. It's really cool. Well, I can remember it is. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this enlightened man was sitting at the face of a cave meditating. His disciples visited him, and one of them asked him, "What are you meditating on, concentrating on?" And the holy man said, "Nothing. I'm cultivating open awareness, naked awareness, panoramic awareness." The disciple said, "Aren't you distracted?" He said, "When I don't concentrate on anything, there's nothing to be distracted from." Now that's where, now see, when you're driving a car, you got to pay attention. We're not talking about that stuff. You need to go to court, you got to get your questions and answers all ready. I mean, but I'm talking about here, meditating. What are you meditating on, concentrating on? And see, that's what people think meditation is, concentrate. No, you're leaning back. You just kind of are bringing your attention back to the center, but it's not hard and firm. It's flexible. It's a movement of light, but you do bring your attention back to that center, and then it'll wander. But this, remember, the Holy One says, "I'm cultivating open awareness, naked awareness, panoramic awareness." Naked awareness means is another word for clear light. Naked. There's no objects. Picture you look. I've sometimes years ago, I remember saying to my groups, in-person groups, I'd go, "Now take this room. Just remove all the furniture from this room. Now remove your building. Now remove your yard. Remove your city. Remove your state. Remove your continent. Now I'm like the short, remove Earth. Where the heck are you? What's left is space, clear light. These are projections. These are objects. Now, we're not going to run out in front of a car, but this is just giving, that's naked awareness, open awareness. And believe it or not, when you're awakened, you're walking around and you're looking out, seeing this clear light is extending through everything. There's just clear light. And you feel it. The light is moving in these vertical waves, or can be different vibrations back and forth through you. Your light is awakened. Aren't you distracted, they say? When I don't concentrate on anything, there's nothing to be distracted. Okay, so sky gazing, I'm trying to be quick here. So you're looking at the sky, and then there's a cloud shows up, or two birds, airplane. Well, before you know it, you focused in on, and you've counted them, there's two birds. Or then there's an airplane. You focus on the airplane and the sound or something. But what you're developing and cultivating is to allow that airplane to just be. And you've leaned back and caught your thoughts of wanting to know what kind of airplane or a jet, or where'd it come from, or whose is it? And the two birds, name it and numbering the birds. You're just letting these birds come and go without focusing on it. Lean back, gazing. It's kind of an open gaze, a panoramic gaze. Oh, that helps you to think about this gaze has no center, like the sky. Does sky have an end to it? Think about like a sky has no end to it. There's no center. It's just there. It's sky. There's no edges to it, no corners, no periphery. That's this God mind is that huge. I mean, it's not even huge. That's all there is. These are just projections we projected onto that clear light movie screen with light, a projector that's a light projector that's got images made on it, and we're projecting it on a screen in front of our face, believing that screen is real. And it's okay, we're not gonna put ourselves in harm's way. But that's called sky gazing. And you develop this with meditation, particular time of meditation called sky gazing and space mingling. And I won't belabor that anymore. But the topic of this, and by doing that type meditation, you let go of the airplane, you let go of the birds. So then you're learning to, in your mind, let go of thoughts. Then when you're off the meditation cushion, you're letting go of thoughts. You're catching when you're judging something, or have an attachment or aversion to something, and come off that. That's the purpose of this gazing, is to let things come and go and just be, because things self-arise and they'll self-liberate, tend to go on their own. So, but during sometimes though, we are focused and concentrate, and then we get distracted. And that's when I looked up the word distracted. I'm going to go a few more minutes here. This distracted world, that's in chapter 13, chapter 13, section 7. Jesus, this distracted world, this is what this whole world is, physical world, is a distracted world. Ego uses all these senses to distract you, to keep you from going in, turning in, to find the light and love that you are, and releasing that light and love, unveiling it. The distraction of the ego. That's chapter 8, paragraph, section 1. Would you, for all these meaningless distractions, lay heaven aside? That's what all this is, all these senses. I never knew it. It's all these senses. Would you, for all these meaningless distractions, lay heaven aside? That's what we're doing, chapter 23, introduction. By agreeing with ego and going off down the rabbit hole and clogging up this gate. Every time because picture, when I'm thinking about, oh, that bird, that's a red bird, and that's a female. She's a lighter color than the male's a brighter color. Now I wonder where their nest is. Now picture, while I'm saying all those sentences, I'm concentrating only on this. This is a sight gate. So my sight is seeing only that bird and thinking only about that bird. And then, but you let go, and then you just let that sight go, and then there'll be and then you're open. If that's open, you're open to hearing a sound. Then there's a sound coming, then another sound, another sight, another sight, another sound, another thought, and you're not distracted. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's like a symphony. It will become much easier as your mind becomes more disciplined and less distracted. Workbook 39. The part of your mind that functions in the world and obeys the world's laws is that ego part. It is this part that is constantly distracted, disorganized, and highly uncertain. Workbook 49. Love created me like itself. You may find it necessary to repeat this idea for today from time to time to replace distracting thoughts. Workbook 67, I think that is, or 63. Love created me like itself. See, that's when you get distracted, you come back, and you got truths in the course you like to quote. That's where you come back to one of those holy truths and bring your mind back to thinking only holy thoughts. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts. That's workbook R11.in introduction. In the face, do not allow your intent. So what's your intent? Your intent is to awaken, become illumined. Understand these truths, contemplate them, reflect on them, incorporate them into your daily life. Okay, that's part of where distracted is in the course. So let's see, what am I, the things that I do, I talk about myself in third person more and more now. Glenda's sitting here talking. Glenda's leaving this room, walking into another room, but we're using a threshold or going from one room to the other to remember there's only holiness. It's like in a great temple. You're walking into holiness because there's only God mind here. I'm walking in God's mind, in God's presence. I'm not kidding. We're walking in it. We're standing in it, we're eating in it, we're sleeping in it. You turn over in bed, I think about, oh, I'm laying in bed on my side in God's presence, animating my form. That light is animating my form. It's just so beautiful. But you're cultivating mindfulness and awakefulness. Let's see what else I'm in. Remember, you're talking about asking yourself, what am I thinking about? And you're developing moment to moment awakened awareness, but you're spontaneous to your sights, hearing, thoughts. You're spontaneous. We're not a bump on a log, meaning I'm just going to sit and meditate all day on my chair. No, you have a life. You have a life with your family, friends, loved ones. You're spontaneous without expectation. Now, granted, you can have conversations with people who are not physical or psychological doormats. None of that. Ask Holy Spirit to help you, guide you what to do or say. But this is a spontaneous dance with using the awareness. You're aware of all this. Then because you're empathetic and so loving and virtuous, you pick up on what people need. and you're answering things in a virtuous way, and you're having fun. It's just a fun life. You're enjoying life while remembering your spirit and their spirit. I'm going to stop because I'm over. But this, I'll rename what the heading was. Don't let your minds be sucked out of you by your six senses. Don't lose your mind every time you smell, see, or touch something. At every moment, we are creating our future. Picture yourself as a scrubbed child, and you can be aware. You're fresh, clean, pure. You can be aware of these things without getting drug into them. It's right now, you can do this. You don't have it. And right now you're clean. Let's see that little paragraph was page 6. Imagine ourselves as children, scrubbed clean, open to new experiences, new actions, new karma. Because see, you're retraining this mind, this egoic mind that we've been accustomed to being glued to, agreeing with. You're its neural pathways have been ruts like cows chewing a cud. Over and over, we've done the same habits, the same thoughts, the same deals. Over and over, we made ruts that we follow, habits, habitual habit patterns. You're breaking out of these ruts to cultivate and make new neural pathways that are holy. And they get deeper and deeper, but yet you will slide over back into that rut because it's deep. We've been living in it for 30, 40 years, however long. So you'll slide back, but no worries. You're awake and aware. You just come back out. So don't beat yourself up. It's just beautiful. At every moment, we're creating our future. What will it be? Can we make the effort? You can do this to avoid the destructive, the harmful, the self-indulgent, and the foolish. Can we see through and avoid the sight, sound, smell, sensory experiences and thoughts that might pull us in a direction of creating new negative karma? No, you can choose again. Okay, before I stop the recording, anyone want to make a comment or a question or anything before I stop the recording? Thank you all. Oh, and before we go, of course, we practice Jesus's advanced forgiveness where we look past the form to think of each person as spirit, as God. So you can look at each tile on the screen and Holy Son of God, Holy God, Joanne, Holy God, Gonzalo, Holy God, Angela, Holy God, Terry, Holy God, Danelle, Holy God, Debbie, Holy God, Susan, Holy God, Kareem, Holy God, Leon, Holy God, Glenda. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I bow to the Christ, the God, the Buddha in your seat right now. Now, anyone got a thought, a question, or anything you want to share? People love hearing things and hearing your thoughts. Thank you for coming out. I so enjoyed doing this. Sharing what's going on. Oh, thank you. When I walk, it was just so brilliant. When I walk around this lake, and it dawned on me about this freedom of letting everything go. There's sound after sound, sight after sight, a symphony. Oh man, it's just, I think that's nirvana, heaven, within a physical plane. It's this integrated here. But moments of it, I'm experiencing moments of it. Anything, Gonzalo's here, Angela, anyone? I don't mean to be pushy. Okay, then I will. Thank you for coming out this evening. I will stop the recording. This meeting is every Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 Eastern time. And I incorporate A Course in Miracles and Dzogchen. It's a tradition in Buddhism. Now I need to find stop recording.